Welcome in, creative creatures. Today we are going to make something with everything here. I'm going to need some clear gloss embossing powder. Again, some clear glue. So it's only a little bottle I've got here. I hate it, but I'm using it up because that's my motto, use it. Foam pads, 3mm. Can be cut up with scissors, definitely needed. These are a pair of Tim Holtz, not overly keen because they're serrated, but they're good for fussy cutting. Black ink, this is just a standard. Need obviously a heating tool if we're going to be embossing with the embossing powder. Now I've got some scraps that I used from the previous card that I'm going to be using in this card. So that's them. Oops. Okay, now the card I have already scored and cut. It's a 4x6 and it is pearlescent, even though you can't really see it. You can see the envelope brilliantly, but you know. Also, I am going to be putting my little ladybird on the back, which will be off cam, but I will be doing it. Need to make a frame, so I'm going to be taking this one here and two in this one here to make a frame with these two. And this stamp set, which will say with sympathy, which can't brilliantly be seen on here, but hopefully you get the idea. Yep. Anyway, we'll try better next time. So two other stamp sets that I'm going to mingle together. So I'm going to be using this leaf down here because I like the shape of it and it will suit the rose just here from this stamp set. So I only want to use this one and the leaf from the other. I got some scrap white card, which will be used for the frames and also the sentiment. A piece of scrap paper, which will be used for the embossing powder, or catching it, should I say. Just like that. And my stamping tool. Yay! Stamping tool. Woo! So I have cut out my two frames. I have my insert, I have my frame, and I'll use the inserts a bit later. Now I've made two frames deliberately because I want to stack them. I'm being really careful with this washi tape because even though it's some funky donuts, oh yeah, it still really sticks to the card, unfortunately. So I've got to be really careful when taking this off. If you can find a really low tack masking tape, it'd be probably much better. I'm trying to be careful. There we go. So I've got my two inserts which I can use another time, and I have my two frames. So that's them. Let's move that so the reflection's not quite so bad for you. I do apologise. Now, ideally, I'd be using my paper for this, but nope. Clear glue. So on the top of one, I am just going to swizzle some glue. Out you come. Thank you. I really hate this glue bottle. Really do. Not overly keen on the glue, but I use what I have, as will you. Now please remember, these are what I do. They're nothing professional. Nobody says they're professional. It's just to give you an idea or get your creative juices going to make something far better or whatever. But this is going to try and keep with one colour, which I will be using. It'll all be white, but there's the pearlescent with it. So I've got the cream and white, which is probably better said. So the frame will go in the centre like that. Let's put the base card away. And now let's get on with some stamping. Beans the stamping tool is open. So I'm going to go back and use the card. Waste not, want not. So putting magnets down so it doesn't get stuck to the stamps. And let's go for the leaf. And now an attempt to get out the rose, which I'm going to speed this little bit up because it's a pain to get off because I've never used it before, so it's not very loose, so I'll speed this bit up. Ta-da! The wonders of technology. Okay, so I've got my rose. I'm going to place it roughly where I need it. So it's going to look something like that on the card. Something like that. I'll decide when I get there. So just make sure they're away from the magnet, that they're not overlapping. Now it's at this point that I remembered I should have used anti-static powder bag, and I completely forgot because sometimes it happens because I'm human. Sorry about that. Okay, so the other thing that I didn't show at the beginning is clear embossing ink. So definitely need some clear embossing ink, and I'm sorry that I forgot to show you it at the beginning. So get my paper ready, because with embossing I'm going to need the paper to catch the powder, the embossing powder. So that's that ready and raring to go. My heat tool is now on. Definitely going to be needing that if I'm embossing. Okay, so embossing powder ready, paper ready, heat tool ready, and now we take the clear ink and we give those stamps a good inking up. So pat, 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 press, pat, 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 press, close and just press down, making sure everything is covered. And again, yes, I know I forgot my anti-static powder, but I'm going to go in again just to make sure, because this does have a few little details in it that I don't want missed. And over and press down. Da-da-la. Sorry about the light reflection. Okay, so let's remove the magnets and get our piece of papier, and time to emboss. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. I know you can't see the leaf or the rose, you're just going to have to trust me that it's there. So sprinkling on, making sure everything is covered, even the kitchen sink if you want to. Pat off. And can you see that? There you go. Now if I'd used an anti-static pad, I wouldn't have all the tat that I've got all over it. But hey ho, live and learn lessons, and I leave the mistakes in because I'm only human. I would redo it and re-edit it, etc. But I'd rather you see mistakes than me just go, everything is hunky-dory lovely. So removing the rose because I still need the leaf. But for the moment, I need to get this heat gun heated up. So I love this heat gun. Absolutely love it. Really nice held. Got to get it nice and hot though. And as soon as it is, then I can get it going. And I will try and show you a little bit. Don't worry about that blue mark. It won't be there for long. I will try and show you a little bit of what happens, but it's not great with clear. You'll have to wait till the day that I do a colour. I know this is another card that I've done clear on, but hopefully you'll see it disappear. So where you can see it, the powder's there, and as it disappears, that is heated. That is done. So that's the leaf and the stem done. Now I've just got to do the flower itself. I'm not overly worried about the bits of embossing that are over this because I will be fussy cutting out this rose and the leaf. So it doesn't overly bother me on this particular project, although it would normally. So I'll just take the card that isn't used because I'm just about to use it because I need that leaf. So back into my stamping tool, back on with the magnets, and let's move that leaf. That will do. Well, maybe not on the magnet, but I will be needing my With Sympathy sentiment. We'll do that at the same time. So all placed on, leaf placed on. Yep, okay. So get them stuck down, and now bring in the clear ink stamp pad again along with my black. So I have no problems with this black. I probably would get a better grade next time, but honestly this has done me no wrong, so I've got no problems with it. So I'm doing the With Sympathy in black and the leaf in clear again. And there we go. I know you can't see the leaf and I apologise, but I'm going in again just to make sure. And the With Sympathy, just to crisp it up a little bit. And over we go. And press, 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 press. Open it up. And that's looking good to me. So out with the paper, out with the powder, and let's go for a sprinkle. I'm only putting a light touch on the With Sympathy because I don't want it overly done, just subtly, but the leaf, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. and shake it off. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Out with the paintbrush again, just to bring out the little scraps. Put the powder away. Nothing's wasted, or at least I try not to. Okay, so that's the embossing done and done. Make sure that you clean the stamps ASAP because you don't want to cause staining. So now I have my with Sympathy. I don't think you're going to be able to see this getting heat embossed, but I will show you afterwards because it's nice and shiny. So that's the with Sympathy, and the leaf will disappear before your eyes. Not that it was ever there in the first place, but you can just about see it. Just about. Okay, so that is done. Finito. Now I know there's a little mark on that, but that's okay, thankfully, because that's going to be my underneath. Okay, so I have all the little bits. My with Sympathy I'm going to start with. I'm just going to make a straightforward standard cut with this. I don't want anything fancy because it's a condolence card. I just want to make it as simple as I can. So just eyeballing it to make sure it's straight, and just take that last little bit off. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now we've got leaves and rose, which I now need to cut out. I'll do the first one on cam, even though you can't really see it, but you kind of can. There you go, that's what I'm cutting out. So I'm only going around the edge. I'll do this first one on cam, and then I will do the others as a speed up. So that's that one done. Ta-da! Okay, so now everything is cut out. I have my rose, I have my two leaves, and I have my with Sympathy, and of course my frames. So maybe now it's time to clear away and start putting things together. So getting the base card, okay, so I only need the card, and I'm going to just place everything down just to make sure I'm happy about how it's going to go. Now here I wanted to put the rose over the top, but then I thought it just looks too bad. So I'm going to actually put the stem just under the frame so it's coming away from the frame. And then the two leaves down here, and the with Sympathy will be down in the bottom right hand corner. So now the placement of the extra foliage, just to give it a little bit of something. And things like this are also good if you ever make a little mistake, stick a Nuvo drop on it, or stick some extra foliage if you've got some, or whatever you have to hand that might go with the card that you're making, go for it. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now it's time to get everything stuck down. So with the frames, I want to make sure they're fairly flat. I know I've got 2 frames up here, but I'm going to make them fairly flat. Now remember what I said about I will leave mistakes in. There was one right there. I've got the base card right underneath, and I need to be using the paper underneath, because I don't want mistakes on the card. Now thankfully there is one on there, but it will be rectified easily enough, thankfully, because the frame will be going over the top. So what I'm going to do is just quickly squibble this round, and then I'm going to use a scrap piece of card from earlier and use it as a spreader, and just make sure that there's an even coating of the glue over the entirety of the frames. Like so. And thankfully it is clear glue as well. Yay, I remembered the paper, woo! So the base card, you see that little glob, it will be covered like magic, it will disappear. So I'm just eyeballing this, making sure that it's even top and bottom and the sides, and then just lightly pressing down. And before I press down that bottom corner, put in the rose, and then just get an extra bit of glue just to go under the actual rose head. Again, want to keep it flat as I can. And now for the leaves. So I'll use that one with the little mistake on it. I'll use that on the bottom. So that will be my flat leaf. I've got to make sure that there's enough glue to keep it stuck down though. And then the next leaf I'm going to be lifting up with the foam pads. So I know it's going to need one and a little bit. So put the one dead center, and then I just want to get that tip done. So I will cut this small piece. And then from there we'll see if we need any more. So that will go near the tip, just a tiny little bit more on the point, and then that bit's done. And then what I'm going to do is turn the leaf over and just cut off any excess foam that's actually sticking out of the leaf, because obviously you don't want that on show. So just a little trim just to make sure the foam pads are hidden. And then remove the backing. And place that atop the rose that's the leaf that's already there. So we've got one raised leaf. Okay, so now with Sympathy, I do want that to be level with the frames. So what I'm going to have to do, which I'll show you in a moment, is I'm going to have to do half and half with the foam pads. So I'm going to cut one of these foam pads lengthways because it's far too wide to actually put straight on the back of that sentiment. I'll come back to that bit in a moment. But I'm going to do this on the very bottom half of the sentiment because the bottom half will be on the base card and the top half will actually be on the frame. So because the frames are up, I need to bring the sentiment up. So you see that that's just on the bottom half, one half with, one half without, and I need to cut the next bit. Just take a little bit off this one just to finish off. It's just enough to get to the end. Jolly good, that's that bit done. So make sure they're on, and you see only half lengthways. It'll all come clear in a moment. So I'm putting clear glue on the other half. Really hate this glue. I will not recommend it to anybody. Just can't. But again, using what I got. It's clear, I need clear. It will do its job for the moment. So now I need to take off the backing. And again, these foam pads are going to go under the frame, and where I have glued, it's going to go on top of the frame to make it all level. Ah! Please don't drop your work on your work. So that is butting up to the edge of the card. And remember, mistakes. So I actually put it down before getting ready to place it. Thankfully, the foam pad came off quickly because I hadn't pressed it down yet. But we'll try again and we'll do better next time. Butting up to the edge of the card. And now we can press down. Go for it, Lisa. There you go. And there we are, almost done. So just taking off a tiny little bit of excess of the clear glue, even though it will dry clear still. So now a little bit of foliage at the top. Now this glue doesn't stick straight away, so there's a lot of movability when these have gone down. But thankfully, it'll be all right in the end if I leave it alone for a bit to actually dry. So there's the first one on, which matches the card, like a pearlescent cream. This larger one is going to cover that corner, which I do have a little bit of a glob of glue, which again, it will be fine when it's dry, but still, you know, you cover your mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to spread that nicely down, covering that corner. Stay down, darn it, stay down. It does stay down in the end, I promise you. About 20 minutes after I'd finished this, thankfully it was dry, I wrote the card, put it in an envelope, and it's now in the post. Okay, last little bit. Just mainly covering the leaves because they're the largest surface area. Just spread it over, take the excess off. And this is a white pearlescent, the same as the one on the right to you, on the right side. It's a white pearlescent. So you've got one cream pearlescent to match the card and two white pearlescent to match the rest. And there is the completed card. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And hopefully it's given you an idea of what maybe you can do. Thank you. Thumbs up. Take care.